Now, just like when we were looking at the DeSapper design, you were probably able to look at this and say, this is a sphere, this is a cylinder, this is an extruded rectangle, this is a revolved, angular shape, four-sided shape. When you look at another more complex design, like a car, then you're going to need to be able to look at it and break it down into its individual shapes. The shapes aren't simple anymore. So it's not like you're going to be able to look at this and say, oh, this is a cylinder, because it's not. It's a big, complex surface. But in reality, this car, just like every other NURBS model, is made up of individual four-sided surfaces that have been trimmed to fit one another. Okay? So let's take a look here. Let me grab my fat pencil and... Alright. So if I look at this, the first thing that I look for are the big surfaces. What are the big slabs that I see? Big surfaces. Well, here's one big one. It goes all the way across here. All the way down to there. Oh, dang it. Let's work on a new layer here. Alright, there's one surface. What else we got? There's a big one right here. We got a big one right here. All I'm looking for are big rectangular patches. That's probably four-sided up there. And I could keep going. You get the idea. This is probably also one roughly here. And some others. There's this big one here on the front. Oops. And this big one down here on the bumper. There are a lot more primary surfaces on here, but this will give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, so these are what I would call the slab surfaces. These are what I would call primary. These are our primary surfaces. Okay? The primary surfaces are the surfaces that you create first when you're building the model. They'll be these great big slab surfaces. As you can see, most of these, well, several of these are rectangular in nature already. This one, this one, this one, this one. And these side ones and the front two are not rectangular, obviously, but if we imagine extending them out, they could be. So this you could think of as a big rectangular surface that's been trimmed back to get rid of all this other stuff, and then you end up with this surface. Similarly here, you could think of this as a big rectangular surface that's been trimmed back to give you just this headlight area here. Same thing here. Big rectangular surface, trimmed back to give you that. Okay? Let's undo way on back. It's probably going to freak out on me. Okay. I don't need to undo all that. Just erase some of that mess. Hate making messes. Alright. Actually, we'll just delete all of this. So those are the primary surfaces, or some of the primary surfaces anyway. I think there's probably actually another one up here. We'll just call this another primary surface up here, because this is, four-sided area. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what we want to do is connect this surface to that surface. So in comes what we call our secondary surfaces. So we would throw in another four-sided patch right here. So that is what we would call a secondary surface. So you do primary surfaces first, you build those, and then the secondary surfaces are based on the primary surfaces. So in this case, this could be a blend surface, where you do a blend from this edge to that edge. It could be any number of things, a curved network surface. There are a lot of different surfaces that could be used for secondary surfaces. And the last kind, it's going to be difficult to show you here on this model, but the last kind of surface is something like this. So let's say we've got a few primaries. Got a few secondaries. Lastly, we put in what we call our tertiary surfaces. Okay? So, this is our... where do I put that? I don't know if I'm spelling this right. Okay, but tertiary surfaces. We have primary, secondary, tertiary. Tertiary are the last surfaces you put in. They're usually the most complex. They have a lot of geometry involved in them. They're very heavy, and we try to make as few of them as possible. But the big ones are the most important. That's the first thing you do. Primary. Secondary are the surfaces that connect the primary surfaces. And tertiary surfaces fill in the gaps in between. Okay? So that is the basic idea of patch layout. That's what we are trying to accomplish when we work in NURBS, is a sensible patch layout with as few pieces as possible that emphasizes large primary surfaces as much as possible and uses as few secondary and tertiary surfaces as you can get away with. So that's what we'll be looking at as we move deeper and deeper into this topic, and hopefully you'll get it pretty quickly.